What do you see when you look at me? You see a Black American woman, or a Black woman, correct? People that look like me, my skin color is deeper, much deeper. Deeper and more profound than what you see on the surface. So what if I told you that majority Black Americans are in fact the original descendants of Native Americans? Foundational Black Americans are in fact indigenous to this land. And I can absolutely prove it within my extensive DNA ancestral line tracing. Here's how. Okay, I hired a genealogist through CRI Genetics and was able to trace back 17 generations of my direct ancestral line. A direct ancestral line is your biological parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and so on. It is considered the base of your family tree, and this is where you biologically descended from, with the next generations thereafter branching out from its original origins from generation after generation after generation. With that being said, starting with my 17th and oldest generational ancestor, who was of Lokono Arawak Indian descent, located in 1545 AD in Barbados on a small island called Chiruganama. Keep in mind, this was 74 years before the first enslaved African arrived in 1619. Chiruganama is actually the indigenous original name for the island of Barbados. As you can see here of this indigenous map where it's located. Now take a look at my DNA results map. You'll see it's the exact same location. My 17th generational ancestor is not the only Lokono Arawak Indian within my ancestral line. I have a total of 9 ancestors within this line. Okay, they were also my 16th generational ancestor. However, my 15th generational ancestor was not of Arawak descent, but was of Sierra Leone descent from the Mende tribe in 1625. I'll explain in more detail shortly. Archaeologists believe that those Arawak ancestors migrated from the eastern slopes of the Andes through the Amazon and the Orinoco River valleys to west of the Atlantic Ocean, where they settled to Barbados between 350 to 650 AD. However, continuing on to my 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, and 8th generational ancestor were all of Arawak descent. And they were all found on my mother's side of the family tree. We trace back my 9th generational Lokono Arawak ancestor to St. Vincent in the year 1745. My 8th and last generational Lokono Arawak ancestor originated in Chiruganama, which is now Barbados. But this particular ancestor was traced in Alabama in the year 1770. Who possibly migrated from the Orinoco River region in South America all the way to Alabama. My 7th generational ancestor actually traced back to my 15th generational ancestor. Here's how. In 1625 AD, my 15th generational ancestor of Sierra Leone descent of the Mende tribe, who was enslaved to the Americas, later escaped and was part of the escaped Leeward Maroons between the year 1625 to 1655 AD, causing a new ancestral line to branch out from my original lineage. This ultimately created the Garifuna tribe and combined admixture of Native American and African descent who had intermarried. So basically, somewhere down the line, my 7th generational ancestor, who originated from Sierra Leone of the Mende tribe, is linked back to my 15th generational escaped Leeward ancestor. And this particular 7th generational ancestor was enslaved in Virginia in the year 1795. Along with 2 other branched out 7th generational ancestors, one who originated in Iselin from the Kingdom of Benin, and the other originated in Yoruba, Nigeria, from the Oyo Empire. They too were enslaved in the year 1795. I have two six-generational ancestors. One originated from Gambia of the Mali and Samhai Empire. The other was Kenyan from the Luhya Bantu tribe. Both these direct ancestors were enslaved in the year 1820, located in Virginia. I have three fifth-generational ancestors who either originated from Gambia, Nigeria, or Sierra Leone, all enslaved in the year 1845, located in West Virginia. My fourth removed grandmother was of English, Gambian, Kenyan, and Lacono-Arabic descent. She lived in Barber, Alabama. I have documents on her, such as her Dow Rolls number, listing her as Creek Freeman, and the 1880 U.S. Census stating her as a mulatto along with her daughter, and whom will become my third removed grandmother. I love her so much. Seen here on this photo, she is my grandmother's grandmother, whom was also of English, Gambian, Kenyan, and Creek or Lacono Arawak descent, who lived in Creighton, Arkansas. Because of my third removed grandmother right here, having part Bantu Kenyan roots, which is the oldest and the most dominant in my DNA ancestral line, dating as far back to over 250,000 years ago. This branched out from our original Arawak lineage. Because of this, her daughter, my great-grandmother, grandmother, mother, and myself all inherited the L2 haplogroup, and I was shocked to learn that this L2 is the same direct haplogroup lineage that was prominent in ancient Kemet, or if you want to call it Egypt, found in the Berbers, ancient Arabians, and found in the Moors. Now, this is my great-grandmother seen on this photo. She is the mother of my grandfather, which is my mom's dad, all still on my mother's side of the family. She was a local seamstress within her community in Alabama. She is traced back to my 8th generational Arawak ancestor and is listed on the Dow's Rolls twice. Her first card number profiled her with her parents, listed as full Cherokee. Not sure how her Arawak roots became Cherokee by blood, but when my own mother was 7 years old, my great-grandmother here used to always tell her that we were Iroquoian by blood, which in most terms means Cherokee. However, the second card she received later at 32 years old listed her card number with an R in front of the numbers, meaning her card number got rejected or revoked after getting pregnant with my grandfather in 1908 and marrying a man of Nigerian descent in 1910, who of course became my grandfather's dad, making him half Cherokee and Nigerian, but never lived on a reservation or got the recognition they deserved. So, to my foundational Black American family, you see, our immediate ancestors were up and down these North and South American streets well before those sinister colonizers who hunted and unalived a large percentage of our people. As you can see, my ancestral trace analysis uncovered hidden roots that wasn't supposed to be exposed, and I'm certain is hidden in your FBA DNA as well. With that being said, I beg of you to look at your DNA results more closely. I'm not asking you to do what I did by spending extra money hiring a genealogist to trace your ancestral line. I'm simply asking you to use my DNA analysis as a blueprint. So if you have a basic DNA test done, look to see if there's any Caribbean or South American roots prior to 1619. If so, start there. Because 9 times out of 10, your copper Indian ancestors survived the Trail of Tears and migrated their way to either Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, Louisiana, or Oklahoma. As we know, the concept of black and white is just a racial construct created through white supremacy to enact an organized hierarchical system that suppresses the land rights and the true comprised yet distinct origins of most so-called black Americans, who are in fact the oldest and the original descendants to both North and South America. For those who wondered why the word Native American DNA never showed up on your basic DNA test results, is because true Native American origins was traced back to Caribbeans between 350 to 650 AD. And so the word Native American ancestral trace markers were suppressed during the inception of DNA trace analysis reporting and declassified to Afro-Caribbean markers to avoid dissemination and accurate claims to the land, just like they did with the Hebrew by blood tracings. Black Americans, we no longer need to fight for our truth to be told to anyone. We just need to stand tall and wear our truth on our shoulders and not let anyone dictate who we are. That's how we honor, acknowledge, and walk with our ancestors. It's time we embody the entirety of our unique Native heritage and be cognitively aware of our true selves and lineage. From here on out, let's never be ashamed to be a one-drop rule denier. Peace, love, and light. And may the Spirit of the Most High be upon you.